Welcome to our podcast, Empowering Your Pink, with Dr. Karen Walker and Dr. Julie Ducharme, authors of Leading by Your Ponytail. Hi, welcome to the Empowering Pink podcast. I'm Dr. Julie Ducharme, and my co-host, Dr. Karen Walker, is not available today. She is out empowering and inspiring women, so every once in a great while, we help each other out, and we're solo, so she wants to be here today, but she's not able to. But I have a really wonderful guest. We are doing these spots on our speakers who are going to be speaking at the Lead and Empower Her She Talks in Vegas. And so I'm very excited. Today I'm speaking with Dee. Dee, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Julie, for having me. Pleasure to be here.
You know, I'm so inspired by this because as we've opened up this new version of Lead and Empower Her, it's very cool because, we're getting to meet all these amazing people who are applying to be speakers, and it's such a blessing. And so today we wanted to talk a little bit about you and let our listeners learn who you are and what you're doing, how you're empowering women, so they get a great idea and, might want to come to our Vegas event and get a chance to hear you. So why don't you give us a little background about, you and what you're currently doing?
Yeah, this sounds great. And I just want to say I'm so excited about Vegas. I know it's just in a couple of days, and I can hardly wait to get there. So to be with this group of amazing, fascinating women, and thank you so much for pulling this group together. I think that you're so amazing for doing this. I just wanted to say that first.
Oh, thanks. Well, tell us a little bit about you. I mean, I know about you, but our listeners don't.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Dee Woolridge, and I'm a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, a retired naval officer, and I own a training and development company called the Heart-Centered Institute. As a mom, I'm a mother of a daughter with autism. She's a young adult with autism, and I'm a mom of 3 stepsons. So we have a blended family. So with that comes a lot of challenges. So I'm able to talk to anybody about blended families and families that have children with special needs or anybody with special needs. As a wife, I'm a wife of a retired Marine who now works in the healthcare industry. And we have a running joke that says he takes care of the kids and babies. I take care of their parents because I work in the mental health field. Because our joke is the kids run the parents crazy, so they have to come and see me. So it's both of us have this affinity to help people, and we've served our country, and that servant leader is just a part of who we are, and we've just continued that into the private sector.
I think that's amazing, and I was recently just talking with Renata, who was on our podcast, and we were talking about, people have to really have a special skill and blessing to have the patience to do that, to give back to people. And I really feel like that's important because not everyone can do that. And so I feel like that about teachers. Like I say, God bless you for taking our children for 8 hours a day, every day for like most of the year, like I always feel like, you're a special person because they're not your children, but you're still willing to invest in them. And so I love that you're willing to invest in people. And I think that's such an important thing. I think it comes around, all the way around of just a blessing, and I love too that you have a blended family and you can talk to anyone and everyone just about anything. So tell me a little bit about what you do in your business, so our listeners can learn about that.
Sure. I own a training and development company called the Heart-Centered Institute, and I coach and train women from 25 up. So my median age of women is 45. I used to serve everyone, and I realized you know how you figure out what you're really good at? And I go, hey, I'm a woman over 45, and I know what women in this age group need. I know what they want. I know what they're going through, because right around 45, women have this kind of awakening. If they have children, the children are of an age where they can take care of themselves, or they're either empty nesting. And if the woman is married, she's coming into her own and kind of finding her independence that's separate from her spouse. If she's single, then she really can go for some things that she wants to do, and she's not as afraid as she used to, because we've been through those milestones and you realize, hey, I survived these things and I can do something, but I'm feeling kind of stuck right now and I don't know how to move forward. So right around that age, somewhere between 45 and 55, women start reaching out for help, and they find me. I have a special type of skill set with all the things that I've learned from my time in the military, from being a mother of someone with special needs, being in a sandwich generation of caring for an elderly parent, and wanting to help myself. I'm skilled as a clinical, transpersonal, and interpersonal hypnotherapist. Mm-hmm. So that is the main tool that I use for people who are local, mm-hmm. that are coming in to say, hey, I need something, can hypnosis help me? And that's not all we do, but that's one of the main tools that I use. Mm-hmm. And being a clinical, transpersonal, interpersonal hypnotherapist means that I can help people at mind, body, and spirit level, that I have that skill set to do that. And that takes care of the whole person, not just their body or not just what they're going through emotionally, but also spiritually, bringing that whole person into focus. And that's what I help women do.
That's really interesting. And, you know, hypnotherapy is something that I've heard of, but I don't know a lot about. And when you are working with someone with hypnotherapy, is this something that you're kind of going more into the deeper conscious, maybe some things that could be maybe sabotaging you, but you don't realize it is?
It is. We all have, I call it the 0 to 10 conditioning. And it is, a 7-year-old could be running your life, because it's a skill that you've learned at an early age that you are cutting and pasting for everything that you do in your life. Mm-hmm. And when you were 7, it was probably relevant to that time in your life, when you didn't have independence, when you couldn't make your own decisions, when you had to depend on other people. But as an adult, you can really use other tools that serve you better. So if you're not getting ahead to where you want to be, I hope you find out what those blocks are. Mm-hmm. Where did you get stopped in your growth? Was it at 7? Was it at 10? Was it at 3? Mm-hmm. And so that is all that stuff that's stored in the subconscious mind that I helped find out what the beliefs are, because it goes like this. Events and people help you determine what your beliefs are. Mm-hmm. Your beliefs determine what your emotions are, and your emotions determine what your behavior is. So it's not the down there where the behavior is, it's what the belief is.
That's really
Does
interesting.
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious, since you're former military as well, does this ever help? You know, we have a lot of women veterans listening. Does hypnotherapy ever help with things like PTSD, emotional distress? Is that a process that can be worked through with what you're doing as well?
Absolutely. I actually work with a number of military women from all the branches. I'm fortunate enough to be here in San Antonio, where there's a big military population. Actually, our city is called Military USA. So there are people that are reaching out beyond what the VA can offer them, and they're looking for alternative ways of feeling better. So I've been able to assist women with PTSD, with all kinds of things, with people that are currently serving and people that are former military. I've been able to help them. And the way that I help them is, you know, if they are suffering with PTSD, the subconscious mind doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know geography. It doesn't know, you know, time and space. That part of our mind is our protector. It processes information in milliseconds. So its job is to keep us safe. It is habitual. It just stores information. So if you are at a heightened alert status for months or years, and you were just conditioned to be at that status, that has been stored in the subconscious mind. So what you have to do is do some reprogramming and, talk to that part of the subconscious and say, hey, you're cool, you're home, you're safe, and you don't need to be on alert all the time. And because the conscious mind has more time to think about what's happening, we have to get those two to work together.
Okay.
Because it's just like if a car is coming down the street fast, your subconscious mind is like, how do I stay safe? Do I move back? And the conscious mind is saying, the car's not going to hit me. It has brakes. It's going to stop. But the subconscious is the one that's reacting fast. So if we can train them to work together, the subconscious mind to say, look, you're safe. And then it has time for the conscious mind to process because it's slower.
Okay.
To process and say, I am safe. I don't know if I'm making sense, but yeah.
No, it does. It does. And it's really interesting. I mean, I find this whole aspect because it's amazing how the brain can control you, how you can make yourself sick over, stress and how you can, really sabotage yourself sometimes without even realizing that you're doing it. And so I think it's really interesting. And I know a lot of our listeners, one of the things we talk about a lot is women and how we handle our situations, mentally, and how we're dealing with that stress and, what we can do to stop sabotaging ourselves. We do that a lot. So I think it's absolutely interesting what you're doing. And I love what you're doing because I think it's a huge support. We talk a lot of times that women don't want to reach out for help because they think it makes them look weak, and I'm a huge advocate for like, hey, if you need help, get help because it's only going to make you better. And we can't take care of our families and serve our people or do our jobs what we do if we're not at our best. And I'm a big proponent of that, so I think that's fantastic. I love what you're doing, and I also love for our listeners to hear that these are the options they have if they're struggling. I don't think a lot of people think about hypnotherapy, but what a powerful tool that you could use to help someone work through those issues. Because I think a lot of times too, you see it on TV, right? And, they're making people cluck like a chicken, and so I think people, right? Like, because you get people who go, oh, like, what if you put something strange in my subconscious, and so, I don't think it has a true representation, right? Because people are always messing with people on TV. So it's great to hear what the actual real underlying thing is that does. Do people ever give you a hard time about that?
All the time. And the first thing I do, I poke fun at it. So when people come in, they're already nervous. They go, oh my God, and I ask them, I say, are you nervous? They go, yes. And I go, okay, let's get the clucking with and the hula dancing over with right now so we can get on to the work. And then, before we even go into hypnosis, I spend a good half hour explaining to them how it all works and what we're going to be doing. I have a 5-session protocol. So the first session, we are talking about what's going on with them, how this all works, how the subconscious mind works, so they'll know. So whatever fears that they came in with, we will debunk all of those fears, get rid of all of the crap that's out there on television. Now, I have to say, some of the things on television, hypnosis is real, but that's entertainment. What I'm doing is using some of those same techniques in a therapeutic setting to help people get what they want.
Okay.
And when they understand that, they go, oh, okay, I'm good.
Okay. And that makes sense too. Of course, I'm the type of person, if I could do hypnosis, I'd be like, totally teasing my husband, be like, listen, don't make me make you cluck like a chicken, man, because I will, I would just have a little bit of fun with it there. Now, before our time runs out, I'd like if you would tell our listeners at least the title of your talk, or the theme of it, and maybe what you hope they take away.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't tell them all the good stuff because we want them to come and hear you. But I'd love for them to just hear a little tidbit about, what you're going to be talking about, and what you hope that they'll take away.
Well, first of all, they just need to get the ticket and go, because not just me, you have a whole lineup of amazing women, and I can't wait to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just honored to be in that lineup with the women. What my talk is going to be about is unleashing your superpowers.
Ooh, I
and
like it.
Talking about how we all have them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to give a scenario of how I developed mine. And when you see how I've developed mine, you'll know intuitively what yours are.
I love that title. I love it. And I think it's very cool. My son the other day, he asked me all the time, Mom, if you had a superpower, what would it be? I mean, literally, this is a daily conversation. So every day,
as if mom wasn't enough,
right? And so, the other day I pick him up from school, and he says, "Well, what'd you do today, Mom?" I said, "Oh, I just using my superpowers, being a superhero." And he's like,
right.
Really? And I go, yeah. And he says, well, which ones? I said, well, I have several. I have super speed. I have super organization. Right. And so he fully believes that I am a superhero. And I'm always like, listen, you can't tell anyone my identity. And so now he's been saying to me, Mom, I want to be a superhero, but I just can't decide if I should have a mask or not. And I'm like, oh, that's really tough. Yeah, I don't know. You might have to talk to Superman about that. So right. I love it just because, I really feel like women do have superpowers. I mean, what we do as women, as mothers, as parents, as wives, as workers, always amazes me. And not to put down our fellow men, I just think that women are amazing in, multitasking, in dealing with issues that, not many people a lot of times can deal with. And so I love that theme, and I know that everyone's going to love your talk as well. So we're getting down to the end of our podcast, but I want to give everyone the information for Vegas before we head out. Well, first, actually, Dee, if you can provide our listeners with your website and where they could contact you if they want to talk to you about your services.
Sure. They can go to deewoolridge.com. It's DeeWoolridge.com. And Woolridge is the name that I married into, so I have to say it right because my husband is always on me. It's Woolridge. Wool like a sheep's wool on a ridge.
Perfect.
And it's, yeah.
And we'll also have that in the podcast wording too. So make sure if you guys are driving and listening to this right now, or you're taking a run, I know a lot of you guys tell me you download it on your phones and listen. We will have it up on our podcast website as well, so you can go to that if you need it. Also for Vegas, if you want to come to Vegas and have an amazing time, not only just getting empowered, but it's Vegas, right? I mean, Vegas has so many awesome things going on. You can go get tickets at leadandempowerher.com. We're going to be having this event at our amazing sponsorships place, Zappos, which it doesn't get any cooler than getting a chance to hang out at the awesome Zappos site. And we're going to be having an amazing day of empowerment. We even have Justine Siegel coming. She is the first female to coach men's professional baseball, and just an iconic legend breaker, and just an amazing woman as well. So we're super excited. And the room will be also filled with Zappos, people from Zappos. So this could be your chance to get to meet some cool Zappos people. So go to leadandempowerher.com to get your tickets before they're all gone, and get a chance to see this amazing lineup of speakers that Dee is in. So Dee, thank you so much for being part of the podcast today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And our Karen is not here, who usually does our send-off, so I will do our send-off. Live, love, and laugh, doctor's orders.